Fireside Tales. Hello, I'm Merlin, Mililli. Welcome to my fireside, where I tell tales within tales. And I almost always get weird. So far, I always get weird. And I drink coffee. And I drink coffee out of my skull mug because I'm a deadhead. A deadhead is someone who really likes the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead is a band. A rock band out of San Francisco Bay Area. But the story of the Grateful Dead is where the Grateful Dead got their name. And every week here at Fireside Tales, I tell the story of the Grateful Dead. Because I'm a deadhead, but also because I believe that the story is about reincarnation. And every week here at Fireside Tales, we talk about reincarnation. One of my aims with this show is to enlighten the world, really, to what reincarnation is. Most people don't really seem to know. I'm not sure everyone's been reincarnated, so I think that's why. I seem to have been reincarnated a lot. Since I was a teenager, I've had meditative access to a meditative library. It's a sort of metaphysical library that you can only access through meditation. And it's a library of books of record of where souls, where, when, why souls have been. Just a record of your soul. I have a book in the Akasha, or the Akashic Records, which is what it's called. Everyone supposedly has a book in the Akashic Records. If you have a soul, you have a book in the Akashic Records. If your soul's been reincarnated, your book shows that. So here at Fireside Tales, we've been going slowly through my book in the Akashic Records. We started our first episode with who I was right before this life. Right before I was in this body, I was in another body. And I believe that body was in the Grateful Dead. Ron Pigpen McKernan died the day I was born. And I have discussed here at Fireside Tales the way too many coincidences and weird things that I know, and just there's too much weird stuff for that not to be true. Too many coincidences. Anyhow, today we come back around full circle. I'm going to tell the story of the Grateful Dead as it was told to me from a deadhead by a fire, as it should be told. I have also another tradition here at Fireside Tales. Every week I discuss my threads. I seem to have these threads that connect each life with each other life. And one of those threads is that I'm a medium and a psychic in this life, but also, I believe, in probably every other life. I'm not sure I always realized I had that talent, but I think I had that talent in every life. And the spirits have a theory about reincarnation. If you didn't know, being a medium and a psychic allows you the ability to communicate with the spirit realm. And in the spirit realm, the spirits have a theory about reincarnation, and that is that if you are murdered, you get to come back. You can reincarnate. So, that said, I'm going to, like I said, tell the story of the Grateful Dead. Once, long ago, there was a traveler. It was so long ago that the traveler traveled by foot. The traveler happened upon a little town. As she got closer, she noticed a little ruckus in the little town. As she got closer still, she noticed there was sort of a big ruckus in the little town. As she got closer still, she noticed there was a big ruckus in a little town over a dead body. Literally, over a dead body. The dead body was laying there, and people were arguing over his body and over his body. They were arguing over his debts and who was going to bury him and where and who was going to pay for that. And the traveler thought this was disrespectful and a little disgusting. And so she paid the dead man's debts. And she paid for a proper burial. And she prayed over the dead man's grave. And she traveled on. Until one day, decades later, when the traveler happened upon a life or death situation. Out of nowhere, a stranger scoops her up and saves her life. The traveler says, "Thank you. Where did you come from? Who are you? Why did you save my life? Thank you." And the stranger simply says, "I am the Grateful Dead. I think it's a story about reincarnation. I don't think it's a corpse at the end that saves the traveler's life. Some people think it's a corpse. I think that's silly. Corpses don't save lives. Reincarnated people do. It's a Buddhist story. The Buddhists believe in reincarnation. Where the body dies and then it gets a chance to be reborn. A whole new baby body that grows up to become another person. Hopefully. With any luck. So, being a medium and a psychic is one of my threads. The little things that attach each life to each other life. Some of my other threads are walking far. I still walk at least a mile a day. Art, music, stars, dogs, nights with a K, nature, mountains, math, writing, reading, and not just regular math, writing, and reading. Voracious math, writing, and reading. Like inventing my own kind of math to calculate something I want to calculate. Writing full novels or books. Reading. I still read 3 to 4 books in the time that a regular person reads one. I have to have one in my purse. I have to have one in the bathroom. They all have to be different. I have to have, well, I said on other episodes I have to have one by my bed, but I actually have like 4 right now. So that might be a bit of an understatement. I got new books for Christmas. I still haven't worked my way through them all. So, Push Against the Church seems to be a thing. They burnt me at the stake twice, the church did, so I have a little thing with them, and I seem to always have this push against the church I'm born with. I don't know. I mean, I know where it comes from, but yeah. Birds are another thread. Angels, travel, Apaches, Native American tribe, horses, oceans, epilepsy, Boston, a deep respect for the poor, and now, since my last life that I discussed specifically, the blues. We started our first episode with Pigpen from Grateful Dead, which was my life, as far as I know, right before this life. And he died the day I was born. So that seems to make sense to me. Then in our second episode, I went all the way back to the beginning of my book in the Akashic Records. And we have been working our way forward from there steadily. And now, today, we're coming to the life right before Ron Pigpen McKernan. So, we've come full circle. But we started with ancient Peru, and I discussed in our second episode interdimensional travel. I discussed ancient Tibet and ancient Egypt and ancient Sumeria, being there twice. That seems to be another thread. I pop up in the same place one life right after another, as if, to try to pick up where I left off. So, ancient Sumeria twice, then I end up in ancient Greece, where I boarded a boat, and in my book I have this watermark. Everything before the watermark is light and sandy and dry. Everything after the watermark is dark and wet and muddy. So I believe it marks the Great Flood. That's my opinion. It does seem to be right where our time changed from BC to AD. And like I said, I boarded a boat in ancient Greece, and then I ended up in ancient Scotland. I don't think I meant to go to Scotland, but there wasn't anything else there. Scotland was basically the only thing sticking out of the water. So then I went from ancient Scotland to another interdimensional travel life, but I lived in Old England, Ireland, and Scotland. Then I talked about a life in Byzantium and then one in Constantinople. Those two places are the same place, modern day Turkey, but two different time periods. And then I was in France twice. That's where I was burnt at the stake by the church twice. 2 consecutive lives, one right after the other in France. Then I went to Italy, where I also lived 2 lives. Then I lived in a fairly long life for me in England, where I never left England. Then I lived I was born in France and I lived in America. I lived in Massachusetts and then died in what is now California. Then I lived a life in where I was born in Austria, and I traveled all around Europe. And then I lived in Boston twice, did that pick up where I left off thing. Then I was born in Scotland, and I ended up in Boston. And then I was born in the Netherlands and ended up in France. And then I was born in America, where I was an Apache who was forced up the Mississippi River to the Four Corners. And then I lived a life in Russia. And then I lived a life in Mississippi. And that is where we left off, was at my life in Mississippi. I died in 1933, so we picked back up in 1933 in Virginia, in the United States, in America. I was born a fairly wealthy boy, so a male. I told you that I've mostly been a woman, a female, but when I'm a male, I'm sort of an awkward male. This male was no exception. I was born on a plantation in Virginia, and I had an older sister. We had while I was a small child, we built a fancy Victorian house, and I can still smell the wood, the new wood of a new house. It never would be not new to me, I guess. I didn't make it very long in this life. So my sister pushed me down the stairs in this beautiful Victorian house, and I broke my neck on the landing, and I died. We were dressed all fancy. I had on a little hat and like a Victorian suit, though it was 1933. And my sister was similarly Victorian, and that she had like a blue taffeta fancy dress with the whole corset and the crinoline and everything. So we were well to do for that time period. I still don't like stairs with landings like that. And of course, my next life, well, no, not in my next life, in my life now, in this life, when I was a child, the home that I grew up in had a front door right at a landing like that. And our stairs went this way, and our door was right at the landing. So I grew up in this life in a house where the front door was at the landing of the stairs. I never liked landings or that front door very much. I like old Victorian houses, but I don't like the staircases. Not if they're like that. And most of them are like that. Like the one flight, and then it turns and has a landing, and then another flight of stairs. So I had a lot of sad lives to share with you, and I apologize for the sadness. The name of this boy was Virgil. It was Virgil, who died a virgin in Virginia. And then in my next life, I was born a Virgo. So Virgil didn't do so well. I think he was probably a little geeky. I'm sure he read and was voracious at math and writing and reading. And for an 8-year-old boy, that was probably weird. His sister probably thought he was weird. Not that that's an excuse to push somebody down the stairs and kill them. Certainly not your sibling. And if the murder theory is right, then regardless of how, 10 or 11-year-old she was, it's still murder. in the grand scheme of things, if that theory is true, little kids can still murder people. I doubt she ever went to jail or anything for it. I'm sure they just called it an accident. I don't know if anybody ever watched Little House on the Prairie, but this sister of mine was basically Nellie, the neighbor girl with the blonde curls and the fancy dress, and that was her. And the bad attitude. That was my sister. She was rather unpleasant. Obviously. So, excuse me. This is our final episode. We've come full circle. It's not our final episode. It's our final episode for season 1. Woohoo! Yay, season 1. Season 1 is behind us. And I've decided finally that I will go ahead and cover my life, this life, in our next season. But I'm going to work to connect all these little threads and show you how season 1 connects with season 2. And then I'm going to basically work backwards forward. If that makes any sense. I'm going to do this life next season. Merlin Mililli. Then I'm going to do a whole season on Pigpen, starting from when he was a boy. So working backward but forward. And then I'm going to go back to Virgil and do a whole season on Virgil and work from when he was a boy till when he was a boy. I have a system worked out where we're going to cover a lot of different things involving reincarnation and telling this story. Mine is a complicated one, I guess. I didn't expect it to be this complicated, to be honest. Excuse me. Can't have a fireside if we don't have a fire. Get this kicked up a bit. So, I will be taking a break. It's February 2022 now, and we'll pick back up in fall of 2022, which is not very far away at all. But this break will enable me to work on my fine art. I went to college for fine art, and my music. I have my 17th album to finish and put out and promote. It's called Enchanted Merlin Mililli. So look for that. So another tradition we have here at Fireside Tales is that every week I sing David Crosby's Deja Vu. I sing Deja Vu because I think it's a song about reincarnation. Though I'm not sure all of Deja Vu phenomena is about reincarnation. I think like those little snippets of time where specific little moments all happen in sequence and a specific sequence, and you've seen that specific sequence of events before, that I think comes from our dreams. I think we dreamed that sequence of events and then it happens that way. Some say time or all time is happening all the time. Therefore, our dreams are just seeing something that's happening all the time. But Deja Vu, the song, and reincarnation, where he says, I've been here before. We have all been here before. Or I've been here before. That feeling of when you get to a city where you've never been there before, and yet you've been there before, though you know you haven't physically in this life ever been there. But you know what the buildings looked like 100 years ago. You know what's around the next corner. You know that street is a dead end. That is from reincarnation, I think. That sort of deja vu where you feel like you've been there before. Not the exact snippets of time, but the place. So there's so much more about each life that I'd like to share with you. And I would like to go on location for some of these things, which would mean that I would have to go back home to Connecticut and I haven't been home in going on 2 decades. No, it's 2 decades now. No, it's just a decade. 2012. I left in 2012, so or 2011, 2010, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been home. Obviously, I can't remember. And I have some unresolved issues there and some graves to visit. So we'll probably do all that together. And then for the pigpen season, we'll go to Palo Alto and San Francisco and maybe points unknown. And I just haven't been able to share all the information I'd like to share with you about each of these people in 45 minutes. I just don't have the time to do that. So we're going to backtrack and cover all these lives. And then after 25 seasons, we'll come back around to Merlin Mililli and see how everything connects again. I've been finding it rather fascinating how it all connects. It's like a big puzzle. The years, everything just connects. My cat is too close to my dog and he's whining. But it is like a puzzle and it is all coming together. And I'm sharing puzzle with you every week, like I said, because I want to enlighten people as to what reincarnation is. Because I really don't feel we know at all what reincarnation is on the whole. The human race, we really don't understand it. And for study, you know, I shared with you that I was Newton and Galileo, and they studied things. And I still like to study things. And I was approached in past years to be studied like a guinea pig by different departments that did or did not exist at different places. And I didn't want to be studied that way, like a guinea pig in a laboratory. But this way, I'm comfortable with telling my story in my fashion, by my fireside. I like this better. So I'm going to sing Deja Vu for you. Hopefully I get it right this time. So I don't know that we've all been here before, but some of us have, for sure. Did it, did it, did it, did it, do it, did it, did it, did it, do it, do 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 do. If I had ever been here before, I would probably know just what to do. Don't you? If I had ever been here before and another time around the wheel, I would probably know just how to deal with all of you. And I feel like I've been here before. Like I've been here before, and you know, it makes me wonder What's going on? Under the ground. Do you know? Don't you wonder? What's going on down under you? La da da, la da da, la da da da, la da da da. We have all been here before. We have all been here before. So I guess that's it for me for today, for this season. Until fall. I'll continue to show repeats over the spring and summer. So not to worry. In case you missed anything during season 1, you can get caught up during the spring and summer. If you watched, then you have all spring and summer to run amok. Perhaps you need to tour. I need to tour. If you'd like me to play for you anywhere in the world and you want to pay me, contact me. MerlinMililli.com. I need gigs really badly. I'm so ready to tour. I can't deal with being stuck inside anymore. Fireside or no fireside. I need to go places and see things and meet new people. So, contact me if you'd like me to play for your event anywhere in the world, really, seriously. I'm updating my passport as soon as possible. So, I'm all vaccinated, 100% vaccinated, and ready to gig. So, hire me. So I guess that's it for us for this season, and I hope you have a weird and wonderful spring and summer, and a weird and wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us here at Fireside Tales. We've sure enjoyed sharing with you. A Mililli Studios production.